Welcome to the Stephen Mansfield audio podcast.
I want to talk to you in this podcast about a vision that I have and about some changes that are about to come, not only to this podcast, but to the work that I do in the world. I have for many years done this podcast, and I have loved it. I love commenting on current events. I love championing the cause of Kurds. I love from time to time mixing in the emphasis that I have on men and looking at the news in terms of manhood. I have loved the interaction that I've had with many of you as listeners. And quite frankly, I have loved the good that it has done. I love going to D.C. and walking up on the Hill and having people tell me that they, listen to the podcast and that influence has happened. I love seeing people at speeches that I give and having them talk about the podcast. I mean, it's nice to, I record this alone in a little room, and it's nice occasionally to hear feedback from people, especially when you're looking in their face. So I have loved all of that. And by the way, don't conclude from my tone that any of that's going to change. I'm going to continue to do the Stephen Mansfield podcast. I'm going to continue to talk about what's going on in the world. I think that, though I don't think too highly of myself, I do believe I bring a perspective that's not highly partisan, that's not hard right or hard left, a perspective that comes from actually living in Washington, D.C. a good chunk of the year, actually knowing some of the people who are players in the news. A lot of the news today is sort of a long reach. People are commenting on things about people they don't know, about events they aren't really involved with. When I talk about the Kurds, I've actually been in the offices of those who lead Kurds. I've actually been on the battlefields. I've actually been in these offices up on the Hill in D.C. I've actually been on the battlefields of Iraq with American troops, etc. I'm not the most experienced guy on the planet. I'm not the highest ranking guy on the planet, but I do think that I bring a perspective and offer to you, by God's grace, a perspective on the world that is not sold out to a particular view, a particular political party. And I'm going to continue to do the Stephen Mansfield podcast for that reason. I want to help interpret the world. I want to bring a little bit of my teaching gift and academic background to what we do. And I want to have a good time with you. We're going to continue to do all of that. What has begun to be a real burn with me is my passion for men. I am deeply concerned about manhood in our generation. I am deeply concerned about what the average young man in the West is not exposed to. I am deeply concerned about what is not being taught, what is not being said to young men to help them to be fully engaged men and men of character and men of strength. I am very concerned about how on our college campuses today, it sometimes is even an offense to mention that there are two genders, or that there are characteristics of men and women that are different and distinct, and that psychologies are different and distinct, and that gender is more than just a choice, that it's more than just a biological distinction that's an accident. I don't want to fight the broader fight of gender, but I do want to call men to be great men, and I'm seeing absolute devastation around me. And then at the same time, I'm seeing men accomplish amazing things. I'm also seeing men hunger, especially the young men, hunger to be fully engaged men, something that's more than just about style and clothing, something that is about character, something that is about adventure, something that's about reclaiming our hearts and our souls, something that's about being fully engaged in life and making a difference in the world. So the change that's coming for the Stephen Mansfield world is that we are going to get more formal and more outspoken about the cause of men. For example, right now, if you go onto a website called greatman.us, you end up on a page on the stephenmansfield.tv site. And that's great. That page has helped people. It tells you what we're doing. It talks about the books that I've written about men. It offers courses. I'm really glad. But we're going to break that out of the stephenmansfield.tv site, and we're going to make it a separate website. Before long, probably before the end of the summer, there will be a completely separate site called greatman.us. It's going to be a place of training. It's going to be a place of imparting vision. It's going to be a place of challenging men. It's going to be a place where A lot of resources are going to be available. I'm going to see if I can partner off of that website, so to speak, as an extension of that website with a lot of different entities to do more events. One of my joys and also one of my concerns is that normally the only organization that is budgeting and preparing for men's events, real events that really speak to men, are churches. Now, don't misunderstand. I'm a church guy. As I often joke, I'm a member of a church both in Nashville and in D.C. because I live in both cities. I'm a member of two churches. I'm definitely going to heaven. But the point is that I want to see training for men, teaching for men, development for men, challenge to be great men happening through more than just churches. Please don't hear me putting down churches. I'm a church guy. I speak at a lot of churches. I want to help churches. I actually want to help churches emphasize manhood training and men's ministry even more. But it's not going to be enough for it to be done through churches only. Universities need to be doing it. Corporations need to be doing it. The military. There are a lot of other places. I'm really focused on this happening in the corporate world, in the business community. Why can't there be corporate retreats where women are helped to be women to a greater degree, and their issues and needs and challenges and cultural barriers being dealt with so they can break through glass ceilings and do awesome things, and then at the same time we're doing the same stuff for men and really challenging men and helping men overcome what are so many barriers, not only in their souls but in the culture. I want to do that. I want to see the funding that's possible from the corporate world to begin to pour into this cause. I'm telling you, boys are in absolute turmoil in our generation. And of course, the big answer to that is going to be that we build a noble culture of manhood. So I'm not saying that this one website will change it all, but I'm going to turn this website out into the world and challenge more corporate leaders and challenge more church leaders and challenge men individually. In addition to that, and here's the change for the podcast that you're listening to now, I'm going to do not one, but two podcasts. We're actually going to do a Great Man podcast. And by the way, when we write Great Man, when our firm writes Great Man, we write capital GREAT, and then we merge great and man together with a capital M. It's a way of emphasizing it. It's a way of making it more than just two words you don't pay attention to. So Great Man, capital GREAT, capital MAN, one word. So greatman.us is the website. We're now by the end of the summer going to launch a Great Man podcast. And in this podcast, it'll be weekly. I'll do a bit more interviews. Normally I'm just doing commentary, so I don't do a lot of interviews, but I'm going to do more interviews. As you know, I help chaplain within the NFL a little bit. I help chaplain within the military a little bit. I get to speak to some real prominent leaders in business and sports and politics. I'm very privileged to be a kind of an onlooker at a lot of events. I'm going to do a few more interviews. I'm going to comment more on the news in terms of manhood. I'm going to talk about male psychology. I'm going to talk about biological things. We're going to talk about testosterone. We're going to talk about how men need to reclaim themselves in this culture. I'm not even opposed to talking about beards and tattoos. It doesn't bother me at all. I like talking about men's style and men's clothing and the way men ought to carry themselves in the world. It's all integrated. But what I'm finding is that occasionally to weave it into the news in the Stephen Mansfield podcast is just not enough. So we're going to start doing a Great Man podcast, and you will be able to follow that. It'll be weekly. You'll want to get it. You'll want to pass it around. I'll speak to boys. I'll speak to men. I'll speak to fathers. I'll speak to bands of men. And if you've been following us for a while, you'll know some of the themes we're going to hit, but we're going to hit a whole lot more, and we're going to hear it from a whole lot of other voices. So not only will we have greatman.us as a website, we'll have a Great Man podcast, and we're also going to have social media that revolves around these two entities, the podcast and the site. There's going to be on Twitter, Go Great Man, which will be our Twitter name. We'll also have a Great Man podcast, a Great Man page on Facebook. All of this will be launched here within the next 60 days. I'm pushing hard. Our team is working. I wanted to let you know about it it, partially because I want you to be anticipating it and looking for it and pulling for us and even praying for us, yes, but also because I know many of you are political and corporate leaders, and I want you to begin to think about how we can do events together. I want to do great man events. I want to do events that are, they're faith-based, but they're not exclusively faith-oriented. A lot of different kind of men come together. We do them in places where we can have extreme sports. We have late-night bonfires where guys are having a stogie or some whiskey and talking to each other. I want to have some of the best speakers in the country for men. I want to do a thing called Gentlemen's Quarters, where we, in addition to the meeting rooms where we meet, we also have places where guys can get life insurance and guys can have their testosterone checked and guys maybe can have some men treatments. I want it to be a time of rest, a time of restoration, a time of challenge. I want to get corporate sponsorships for this thing. I mean, I want to do it right, and I'm going to need some help. And so I'm putting out the word now and trying to let you know that these things are going to be available. So we'll have the social media that accommodates and goes along with the Great Man podcast and the greatman.us. In other words, we're starting an effort here. And my goal is simply to take what we've been doing as kind of a sidelight. It's not going to be the only thing I do with my life, but we are certainly going to push it harder. And we're going to partner with the other organizations and podcasts that emphasize men. You know how much I believe in podcasts and efforts and websites like The Art of Manliness and just so many of the podcasts that I'm on that you've heard in recent years. But I just don't think that I can do justice to the subject of manhood and make it one theme every 8 podcasts here on the Stephen Mansfield podcast. So we're going to have a Great Man podcast, and we'll be posting it every single week. I'm excited about that. I'm excited about the good it can do. We've got a lot of work ahead, but I think we can impact men. I think we can train men. I think we can possibly even get into schools. I'd love to see more corporate sponsorships of where we're heading and really do this thing right. There's a crisis of manhood happening in the world as a whole, but certainly in the Western world. And to know about it and to address it occasionally for me is no longer enough. I need to do it, need to be full on with it. I need to partner with some men and some strategic thinkers and some people of resources and some people who care about these things in a way that we can do a massive effort. So we're just turning our attention in this direction. We're just beginning to launch this. I've got a great team of people. I've mentioned them from time to time, but we're going to do it. We're going to do it right. And by the time we go into fall of 2017, there will be a greatman.us website. There will be a Great Man podcast. There will be a social media accompanying all of this, and we are going to call men to their best. I'm grateful for the churches that have emphasized men's ministry and manhood, and I want to help them in every way. But I just don't think the churches should have to do it alone. I think we need to call other entities into this battle, and I'm going to make this issue as loud a call as I possibly can. If you want to communicate with us about this, you can contact me through info@stephenmansfield.tv. Go on our website. There are all kinds of ways to contact us. If you want to get me speaking at some organization that you have some influence with, contact us there as well. And pretty soon we're going to make that even easier. So be with us, stand with us, pray with us, look forward to it. 60 days or less, we're going to have this stuff posted, and we're going to see if we can change a generation of manhood.
Stephen Mansfield is a New York Times best-selling author, a popular speaker, and a frequent faith and culture commentator on Fox and CNN. His groundbreaking books on faith and society include The Faith of George W. Bush, The Search for God in Guinness, Mansfield's Book of Manly Men, and The Miracle of the Kurds. His new book is Ask the Question, Why We Must Demand Religious Clarity from Our Presidential Candidates, available on Amazon. Learn more about Stephen at stephenmansfield.tv. The Stephen Mansfield podcast is directed by Isaac Darnold, who also wrote, produced, and performed the podcast theme song. This is a Chartwell Literary Group production.